like to know a bit about you as a person. I mean, you've got a massive job. There's something like 11 million customers at NAB. You've got 40,000 staff. And I wondered if you could describe a bit about your day, for starters. What's a day like in the life of Cameron Clyne?
Well, every day is different, I guess, and that's one of the challenges. But in some respects, although every day is different, there's an enormous amount of structure required in an organisation. In fact, it was 44,000 people.
Okay,
we're across 11 countries. So when you do that and you add the in, you've got huge variety in every single day as to what you might be doing, but there's a lot of structure that goes out, in some cases 12, 18 months. What you have to realise is you actually aren't running the company, okay?
Okay, is that news to anybody?
Well, it was news to the board when I told them that. But you, and I think, you cannot possibly hope to manage the minutiae of a company of that size. What you need to do is to focus on what you can actually influence. So first of all, you've got to have a key role in selling the strategy.
Okay.
That's selling it to your staff, but also to the investors and other stakeholders in the process. And probably critically, you need to put in place the culture and, in particular in a bank, the risk management protocols. Now, what you then, if the culture is right and the risk management protocols are right, that cascades through the organisation so that people who are at this very moment, riding alone in Aberdeen, Scotland, when people in Melbourne are asleep, are actually following the protocols, the culture, doing the right thing, escalating issues. If you try and get in and run the minutiae of the day-to-day business, two things happen. First of all, you'll kill yourself. You just can't do it. I mean, the volume of, you just wouldn't be, even if you thought you could do it, you wouldn't be able to do it. You'd be just absolutely working beyond the capacity of any human. The second thing is you actually piss everybody else off, because what they want to do is you want to delegate. You want to give them the opportunity. So what people hate is saying, I'm going to let you do the job, then I'm going to stand over your shoulder and tell you how to do it. You give them guidance, you give them support, you make sure you've got all the frameworks to coach them along the process. So I think when you get comfortable with the fact that, you're actually setting and guiding the company, not running it day to day, you then can organise your day to say, what can I focus on? What are the things only I can do that other people can't do? And then your day, although it's long, starts to get a bit more manageable. The CEO absolutely has to role model the culture. And when people talk about an authentic culture, which is really what we're striving for, I mean, what I ask of my management team is that basically that everything they do, the act, the way they conduct themselves is entirely consistent, no matter who they're dealing with. So you set a tone. Now, what we've clearly struck out for in our organisation is we want an organisation that is more agile, more flexible, is a lot more open and transparent. I'm a big believer in resilience. Right? If people say to me, what's the number one attribute of a leader, I say resilience. So resilience is critical. Absolutely critical. I think it's the number one issue. So I look at leaders, and you look at them and observe them, and you observe the circumstances they're facing, and resilience is a critical thing, and the determination, I guess, to work through issues, because things take time.
We've had lots of questions about the breaking up campaign and the strategy that you outlined. So what's the thinking behind that?
We looked at our Australian business, and there were two things that came very apparent to us. Well, the first thing was we were the largest business bank in the country and the smallest retail bank. And by definition, we were therefore not as good at business bank at retail banking.
You're in nowhere land, yeah.
And there'd just been a big structural change in the market. So Commonwealth and Bank West had merged, and Westpac and St George had merged. So in fact, banks that were stronger in retail banking had in fact got much stronger. So we looked at the situation and said, we've now got a competitive environment where our weakest part of our Australian portfolio is now exposed to a much more substantive competitive threat.
Okay.
So the environment had changed. You need to run a business in balance. Doesn't mean they have to be equal, but in fact, the stronger our business bank became and the weaker our retail bank became, it actually was going to threaten our business bank. Because you start to you want to try and run your balance sheet with diversification, and so we wanted to have more retail, wanted to have more mortgages, more transaction accounts. We're not getting enough cut through. We want more people to know about this issue. And we started to do a lot more research and a lot more customer research and those sort of things. And what was clear was that there was an appetite for the sort of things we'd done, but not enough people knew about them.
Okay.
What we just said to people is, why do we forget that we're customers, right? We get responded to by something that grabs you. So we changed the brief, went out there, and I think we came up with something, and it was the cheapest advertising campaign we've ever run. We relied very heavily on social media. and it was planned meticulously over a long time, and it did what it wanted. Now, it grabbed the attention. In the 5 months since we did it, we've had 225,000 customers switch to NAB, which is an extraordinary achievement in terms of people actually going through the process.
How much of an opportunity do you see Asia for Australia and also for NAB, and how prepared do you think Australian companies are to effectively operate and seize that opportunity?
We look at it from two angles. The first is you don't have to be in Asia to enjoy the boom of Asia. Australia's enjoying it right now. So our adjacency to Asia, even if you're not a big player in Asia, you enjoy that anyway, and there's even if the expansion of companies and they're growing here and all those sort of things. So we say, look, we are actually part of Asia and enjoying that anyway without a presence.
I'd love to know, casting your mind forward to when you eventually leave NAB, what would you love people to have said about your time with the bank?
Yep. I would hope that that the only thing that they could say is the bank was in better shape than when I started. I think once you get into trying to have any loftier goals or aspirations than that, then in fact you do start to see people, building legacies that aren't necessarily in the best interest of the shareholders. And I'm very focused. The job is to deliver a return to our shareholders. Now, I believe in doing that, you've got to have excellent relationships with a lot of other stakeholders. But if people could say, look, in broad terms, customer satisfaction's better, return on equity's better, the balance sheet's stronger, the prospects of the organisation are there, then that's all you can want.